Welcome to the Time Chronicles. I'm Pigtail Girl.
I'm Starfire Tor. Join us as we journey beyond the outer limits of your perception.
Beyond the illusion of mainstream reality and beyond the deception and disinformation that passes for truth.
Our podcast is about self-empowerment through ancient, modern, and even future knowledge.
It's also about service to others and saving the planet.
So join us as we reveal the hidden and forbidden secrets of the world, the multiverse, and the core matrix. It's about time.
In this episode of the Time Chronicles, you are going to experience unique and mind-blowing information that is only available to Starfire Tor and Pigtail Girl.
In episode 4, Earth is in the wrong dominant coexisting timeline. We showed you never-before-seen video of a core matrix timeline edit in progress. A planet moving backwards in space and time. It's beyond remarkable.
In this update of that show, we revisit that amazing evidence and bring you even more core matrix timeline edits on camera.
And a few more surprises that you won't want to miss.
So please share this podcast far and wide.
To start off with this update, Pigtail Girl and I are going to show you a segment of video from our episode 4, of which this is the update. And this is the video of the planet Venus moving backward in space and time. It's a core matrix timeline edit event. It is amazing. Not just that it happened, because, well, timeline edits happen all the time. It's just that we don't notice it. The fact that I was able to find this is what is so amazing. And so before we move forward to the new material that we have, let's take a look back at what we already showed you. Pigtail Girl, could you please run the movie and loop it 3 times like we did last time?
Okay, here it is, guys. Wow, it never ceases to amaze me. I've watched it over and over again, to be honest with you, Starfire.
Right. It's in your face. You can't not see it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like I haven't provided, dramatic evidence through the years that core matrix timeline, the edits are real.
Mm-hmm.
But to see this, wow, okay.
You'd think it would be front page news.
You'd think, wouldn't you?
You'd think that might be front page news, a planet jumping.
The more people that we have look at this and get in step with what we're doing, it'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's why don't we start now with the new evidence that we have? Would you please put up that new panel?
Okay.
Great. Okay. So what you're looking at now and what we're going to be focusing on now is what happened on May 7th, 2021. This was, as far as this recording is concerned, 1 week ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, in our episode 4, we also did a lot of material on an extraterrestrial spacecraft or space station or possibly even city that's out there in space. We showed those photos over a 25-year period. But the update is not on the ET spacecraft. That update is still to come. This is about the core matrix timeline edits. Okay, so as you can see in these 2 SOHO photos taken from May the 7th, 2021. Look at the image on the left, and then look at the image on the right. They look exactly the same.
Yep, they do.
But they're not. Look at the bottom left on each of these Soho pictures, and you can see that the one on the left was taken at 12:24, and the one on the right was taken at 20:00.
No.
That's 8 hours and 24 minutes apart.
Yep.
Okay. Now, even though on first glance they look the same, now I'm going to direct your attention to the background stars and the solar particles. They are not the same. They're different. Not only that, as you're going to see very shortly, there was something that was going on in between these two, what looked to be identical frames, and that is there was an M3.9 solar flare and coronal mass ejection. Now, when you're looking at this is very typical of how the core matrix works. As you can see, it has taken something from 1224 and it has reused it again while it's doing the editing of our current dominant coexisting timeline. But because you can see, if you look at the background, little white dots, which are either stars or solar particles, they don't all match up. In other words, the background of space has changed. And the reason for that is because when an edit has happened, it's not just the Earth that's getting the edit business. The entire cosmos, at the very least in our region, is getting the same thing. It has to, because we are all connected. So just keep that in mind. And Pigtail Gurl, if you can move us on to the next panel, please.
So that just makes me have a question, actually.
Sure.
Just had a quick question. So does that mean we are also being edited due to things that are going on other planets?
Yes.
As well?
Yes. Yes, it does. And we have no concept of what that is that's happening. And it's almost impossible to figure that out. But as far as our Earth-centric awareness is, we have some very serious problems here in that we are stuck in the wrong dominant coexisting timeline, which I call bizarro world.
It feels like that.
It really does. Right. And this is due to the influence of the dark matter aberration, or the DMA, a topic that we're going to do a future show on, about the dark matter aberration and how that what it is and how it influences not just the Earth, but the entire cosmos. So that's a really important topic. But for now, our situation here on planet Earth is dire because this being in the wrong dominant coexisting timeline means that we are heading for another round of time looping, planet ending nuclear disaster. This is the thing. And if you go and look at episode 4, you're going to find out how ETs are involved in that one. So I'm going to leave that for you to go back to episode 4 to look at as we move on here. But because we are in the wrong dominant coexisting timeline, everything that happens to us with these timeline edits, it's about the Earth. And then the farther that you get from us, the less of an impact the editing will have on other planets, other systems, other everything. And the same goes with if anything's happening on other planet or wherever life is happening out there. The farther we are from it, the less impact we have. I can tell you, though, that our major impact is not what people are doing on another planet. It's what the dark matter aberration is doing to us. Okay. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome. All right. So if we can move on to this. Okay, good. Okay, so the next panel, you can see now I have 3 of the images also, May 7th, 2021. You will notice on the left, I have the 2024. like in the panel before, and on the right is the 2000, like on the panel before. But look, in the middle, I put that M39 solar flare and coronal mass ejection.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me tell you a little something about an M flare, particularly a 3.9. That's a very powerful eruption from the sun that came from Earth-facing sunspot 2822. And when an eruption like this happens, it just gets bigger and bigger and expands and goes farther and farther and farther. It can sometimes take even a day or a day and a half, and you're still seeing pieces of this flare just billow out from the sun. Now, direct your attention to the center panel. That's the flare, and it's at 1948. And then if you look on the right, which is the edit reappearing at 20, that's just 12 minutes. 12 minutes after the solar flare is in full eruption, it's gone.
Yep.
It vanishes.
Absolutely vanished.
Absolutely vanished.
And now that image looks the same as the one before.
Yes, except for some of the stars in the background. Mm-hmm. And if you notice, the stars and the solar particles in the background of the center image do not match either the left or the right panel.
That's true.
And as a reminder, when there's a solar event like this is what can trigger a time shift. When we have a time shift, which distorts or warps the time space around our planet, in fact, in our solar system, and the sun as well, this is what allows the core matrix to get in there and initiate a timeline edit, or 1 million of them. Can't say how many it does.
It kind of makes me get, I don't know why, but an image of the phoenix in my mind. Like when I see these flares and I think about the story of the phoenix, and I think about how the phoenix is this fire and it's related to this sort of cycle of death and rebirth and coming back again and again. I don't know. It sort of makes me think of this and the timeline edits. For some reason, that's what I'm seeing in this flare here.
When you look at the coloring on the image, which is a filter, by the way, it doesn't really look like that in space. That's the same coloring that's used when the artists do a phoenix rising. So that is going to come to mind. Very feathery there too.
Very feathery.
So, right. So as you can see, within 12 minutes, this powerful M flare has vanished. When you look at the image on the left and the right, which are nearly identical, and the one in the middle, which is that M flare, this is and can only be because of a core matrix timeline edit.
In normal reality world, like in reality, how would that look, the timescale? How long would that, you're saying that could have lasted a day or a day and a half usually, or on the photos you'd see it.
Right.
Repeatedly every 12 minutes, you'd see that flare still there. That's
correct,
isn't it?
And so, as a matter of fact, if you take us to the next panel, you're going to see some of that. Okay. So here we are on the next panel, and on the left, there is the M3.9 flare that we were just talking about. And there you can see at the time, 1948. There is in the middle, 12 minutes later, not there. It's got that repeat image. That's a 20. But look on the right, 28 minutes later, the flare's back. The solar flare CME is back. And there it is in its next phase of its existence. Right. It's now blowing out, fanning out, moving away. And this is what it would have looked like if that interruption of the timeline edit hadn't happened. Now, I want to point out something else in this right frame. SOHO, on a good day, takes a photo of the sun every 12 minutes. And then it puts those images together and moves them real fast and creates a moving picture. That's how moving pictures work in the old world. So if you look at every 12 minutes, look at the left frame, that's 1948. Look at the middle frame, that's 20. So that's 12 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's wrong with the right frame timing?
Yeah, it's gone to 28 minutes. Was that the next one in the progression?
Yes, that's the next one that shows up.
Right.
This is I made it my business, and I went back several days to make sure that they weren't upgrading the images and the movie to show more. But I can definitely tell you that a week later, this is the first image. They obviously have had some data loss, obviously, timeline edits to create data loss. So even if this was 5 hours later, it would still have to be somewhere in the 12 minutes, 12 minutes, 12 minutes. But this is 28 minutes. No.
And those time differences always seem to happen when there's been some kind of timeline edit, right? Like they often turn up.
This is where they turn up, and the only way that they turn up. You don't always see the 12-minute time shifting. This is a time shift that has happened along with the edit. So we can see here that this very powerful solar flare has also, we can see the time shift that allowed for the timeline edit happening, or else it wouldn't be at 28 minutes. It would be at 24. So I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. Okay. So now we're getting to the really good part, because we're not just here to show you still images. This is just the walk up to showing you the movie of this. Pigtail Gurl went and grabbed this movie, and she's gotten it all ready for us. And I think we're going to loop it 3 times too. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll loop it 3 times.
Okay. So Pigtail Gurl, if you would please roll the movie, you are now going to see this core matrix timeline edit before your eyes. Go for it.
Okay. We have another beauty.
Absolute beauty. I mean, isn't that remarkable? Okay. So now there's one more thing that I want to share with people. If you all have been following my reports, my written reports on my various social media platforms, then you know that from time to time I do talk about the Schumann resonance, and I show the Schumann resonance chart, usually of the day, if it applies. And so, Pigtail Gurl, if you would show the Schumann resonance chart for May 5th, 6th, and May 7th, 2021, May 7th being the date of all of these images that we've been showing you. Now, in recent years, the Schumann resonance, which was discovered in 1952, reflects what's going on with Earth's frequency. Now, there are 3 main things that affect the Earth's frequency as far as the Schumann resonance chart is concerned. The first one is lightning. The second one is geomagnetic storms. And the third one is the core matrix timeline edits. As I've taught, all coexisting timelines exist in the same space. They're only separated by their individual frequencies. So when there's a time shift and there's a timeline edit, the core matrix is altering the frequency of the planet while it's doing the editing process. So when we see a huge blow up of power frequency on the planet, you can be sure that is a core matrix timeline edit, particularly when there's no uptick in lightning and there's no uptick in geomagnetic storms. When all of these things are happening at the same time is when you're going to have the most powerful looking Schumann resonance chart. So if you look on this chart, you will see on the right is May 7th. Wow, that's powerful. That aligns with the core matrix timeline edit material that we've shared with you in this update. If you look at the May 6th, you'll see, it's just sort of, that's the usual. And if you look on the left, you'll notice that there was also a timeline edit. So frequencies are very important. They are our world. I know that a lot of people think that the Schumann resonance shows them, angels or light workers flooding the earth with all of this light. And that's what this is about.
Energies. They think it's ascension energies.
Right. It's not. I'm sorry, guys. This isn't to say that energies aren't also trying to make their way onto the planet and do really good things. But when it comes to the Schumann resonance chart, I've told you what it is. And it's important to understand that the most powerful alteration in frequencies on this planet is the core matrix timeline edit. And there you have it.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that update for our episode 4 from the last episode. If you haven't seen that episode, do go back and see it. Wow, exciting times. Very, very interesting. I am absolutely chomping at the bit to see what comes next. We'll have to keep our frequency in alignment with the true dominant timeline that we want to manifest, I guess, Starfire.
That's right. That's exactly what we have to do, is we want to help the core matrix using our frequencies, our given natural frequencies, to help the core matrix get us out of the wrong dominant coexisting timeline and into the right one. And we'll be talking more about that.
We need your help. Please donate to the Time Chronicles podcast at www.gofundme.com/F/the Time Chronicles podcast.
You can click on the donation link in this show's description below, or click on the donation link embedded in this channel's main cover image.
Bringing you our unique shows takes a lot of time, care, love, and resources. By supporting our efforts, we can continue to bring you more amazing podcasts like this one.
Thank you from both of us.